Hey guys, Boris here, bringing you another VOD review. The set is going live for some regions already in less than 24 hours, therefore let's jump in game with one of our last PB VOD reviews with Marcel P right here. And we are going to be starting out here with a Poppy, and we do get dropped an ore that we could pair and also have the Poppy and Aatrox pair, so definitely could be considering playing around some form of Bastion frontline, and could be pairing that already here with a Caitlyn, Nova being one of the prominent lines. If you're able to get your hands on that Nova emblem, that is what truly enables this line, as the emblem itself is just simply the Nova effect of the emblem is overstated. But otherwise, if you do not get it, you can easily try to play around the Caitlyn as your Nova carry until you're able to transition to a higher capped board. Now, there have been notes that we are going to be getting an A patch, the Nova emblem is probably going to be one of the first things to get changed. We also have managed to pick up a Milio there, so could hope for another Timebreaker and perhaps play into some form of a lost streak, which would greatly synergize here playing with the Patient Study. However, since we already have these upgraded Bastions and we have a Spirit with Switch Slam, we could be considering potentially playing around some form of a tempo if we are able to get proper damage on our board. Itemized tanks actually are very strong in early stage 2 and early stages 3, as boards generally do not have that much damage. And many lobbies currently in the meta are playing quite weak boards as well. So if you have a frontline, as long as you're able to get some form of a damage dealer online, you're quite good, and we have 2 out of 3 meeple for that. Something like bodyguard training here wouldn't be as strong because we have the upgraded bastions and Pandora's items. We could try to go if we wanted to accelerate our item slams and potentially roll an AD item. However, he already checked our odds here, so let's also take a note. We have Aurelion, which generally is going to offer some form of a around econ-centric, reward-centric base, and Soraka would just be offering even more items or health. So he's going to be evaluating perhaps the bodyguard training here has potential to be playing into some form of a fast 8-9 line if we wanted to go that route, playing maybe into the Nova as well. And Patient Study is generally just a decent econ option for ourselves. Generally do not like taking combat that much on 2-1, especially unless we're very sure that we can streak and the scout around it and exactly give us this. Warlord's Honor would be more of a leap on reroll line, and skipping that epoch allowed us to go for that last reroll, perhaps to see if we can find another better option. But we're instead able to slot in here the Million. Interesting, with 3 meeple would have been a stronger board, but he's going to be saying that this is going to be good enough, and this also enabled us to be making 10 if we wanted to hold on to the Milio in any case of no matter the outcome of the fight. Going to be tucking in that 2 Timebreaker here, even though we have an econ augment value econ quite a lot. We see that there's a player with a Nova and a Darkstar emblem there, so they're quite strong. See that there's an Urgot in the tank form as well. So there's definitely some strong boards around, and we do not really have the damage core to be getting through. Also, there's Meepsy 2 here with an Nasus 2. So it's a great read that we should have been taking a econ augment here and try to play around these Timebreakers to rack up our econ as much as we can. Now we have something in our team planner. I'm not exactly sure if what is going to be that, but perhaps that's a board he's trying to play for this in game. Maybe he already has loaded in with a game plan. So let's see from there. We have the options to be making that Veigar too, but generally you would be running to play around Veigar if you're able to tempo high enough. I'm going to be giving up on our Gnar there and just making that Veigar was a potential unit to be slotting in if we wanted to. But again, we queue into a Gwen 2, Rek'Sai 2 with the Primordial Opener right there, going to be printing some units on their side, and quite strong. So just going to try to go for a Lost Streak, I would assume, and playing into Lost Streak at the moment is quite strong since you're able to get those guaranteed components. Coming up in our God selection here, generally both Soraka and Aurelion are not just considered to be the strongest of the gods due to their boons. Aurelion is quite good if you're able to sack those 3 rounds on stage 5 to get to the completed item. And Soraka is just going to be generic HP, and obviously it's going to gain in value if you are 1 life able to heal up to those 2 lives. But we have to evaluate the items provided for us right now. The Rod would be more playing around an AP, which is generally centric around the lines, and while Soraka is offering us essentially an even Shroud, or we could be going for a Warmog, which also is not that hot in the current meta. We're going to be picking up a 2-star 1-cost here with a Caitlyn here that we could be potentially playing around right away. if we wanted to. Also going to synergize with a Fate Reaver, but I would assume that we're going to be holding on instead just to these these Time Breakers for now. And perhaps might even sell her if he opted to hold on to the... We're going to be most likely selling either one of these one costs just to make 30 here and play for that, closing the stage on a loss streak. Unfortunately, we won that first round there. Going to be slamming a rod, as I assume we're going to be still losing. The TF2 is going to be quite strong, and the Jax 2 should be enough for them to be holding down the front line. Or, I know, so I'm saying this because the Jax 2 is very strong in itself, and slamming that bell to prolong the fight and kill the unit, taking a perfect loss. Marcel P is playing why he is worthy of that World's Player slot 2 sets in a row. We opted to sell that Caitlyn, so we are considering, since we have this rod, obviously, Caitlyn can use a Rage Blade, but this rod is just going to be more flexible as around a Milio item holder in itself. Archangels is not a slam that many players currently are preferring in a meta. Therefore, I would assume that we're most likely looking for either some form of JG or perhaps even a better death cap. Archangel simply, since the fights are going so fast, does not get to that point where it really scales, unless you're playing some kind of a mighty mech option. Now, we do get offered the option to be picking up an Aurora pair here as well, with a Diana. Could potentially be considering that as a reroll option if you wanted to. And as well could be tracking in that Anima there just to cash out for an extra item and a little bit of resources. If you are playing it to 4 cost, that's a general way to be playing the Anima. Actually, the preferred way, that is, to be playing for the just for a cash out into the 4 cost option. We have the option to be playing full sacking our board and playing the 3 Anima, sorry, and 2 Timebreaker board, and we're going to be doing that. And he's mapping out a board here, which seems to be more of a reroll variant if you have that Victor in. And I believe we noted that we have the drone, which is obviously the best Victor's item. Strongly enables him, makes him quite stable, and the unit itself is a little bit over budget for its cost. One of those 3.5 costs, if you remember, from set 16. But on our last augment selection, Trifecta would be great for these reroll comms. Belt Overflows has fallen out of favor already in the last set, and we would be generally wanting some form of damage items, AP items. Right now we can just make at our tank items as we go. Would be more of a tempo spot to be taking items now. Tiniest Titan though, since we're playing for that loss streak and we're playing random, this would allow us to play a little bit weaker board, not to worry that too much about our HP losses and go for a cash out. And if we are playing a 3-cost reroll, extra gold is never that bad. Obviously this could have a little bit drawback since it's a prismatic, but does not offer that much. And the rest of the augments we could just quickly know that they were not that something. Sword Overflow, again, tempo augment, not for our game plan. And the same goes with I believe those Radiant Rascal's gloves. Are we going to be leveling, and are we going to be sacking one of our units to be slotting in that Anima? I think with his expression he meant to be putting in a Jinx there to start stacking that Anima, but unfortunately slotted in the double Aurora. Going to be taking a full loss there. And starting to pop these anvils in order to get some of the AP items sorted out. We have a Spear of Shojin already, and we can use quite a lot of rods. So now they're attacking in the Anima. We're going to be a little round late, and it's actually quite crucial since we would have gotten that 5 loss streak bonus from the round before. He's holding on to this last component anvil, as I would assume he wants to see what the other items he gets. We are not in a spot where we need to slam, so we can just wait and then make the best choice that we are offered with afterwards. Into our second god selection here. Now, since we are playing, we have the healing from that. Oh, so the trick, the carousel trick still works. If you have a component anvil, you can be popping it just before the god selection to be seeing what the gods are offering you. This is an amazing thing to know that you can be doing this. Very more valuable if you're playing from these lost 3 spots and do that in the unnecessity spiking right now. Fielding 6 combat, this would be required quite late, and by that point our comp is already locked in and will be locked even more so I do not think this is going to be that valuable. Just going for a Blessing Aside, which is quite good for all these reroll comps. If we're able to hit Laoe 3 and buffer up even more with that HP, since he's a Vanguard, is going to be quite strong, but he's going to be going with emblems, and a lot of players are preferring these emblems to be quite strong. But I feel like we are putting ourselves in a very hard spot. This is a choice I definitely wouldn't have made. And we are going to be picking up a TK for another potential to just cash out. And perhaps he just simply valued that rod so much since this comp is very rod hungry. You have the Aurora that can use multiple rods, you have the Victor that can use multiple rods, but how are we going to be slitting in these 6 non-unique traits? And what do we do if we are emblem? We did not get to drop the Reforger the round before, the PV round before. We might get one now, but this emblem could provide to be a little bit useless for ourselves. Going to be very interesting, and we're going to be dropping low, so we're going to wanting to spike. I would assume that anything that can provide us with that ability would have been quite valuable. Going to be slamming the Shojin. Now we're seeing that the matchups we should be just fine to kill some units. Going to be positioning in a way so that we focus fire one side completely. We're doing this the whole stage and hopes of killing a single unit, at least preserving a little bit of life. We are quite rich, but we haven't leveled since we're going to have that epoch kick in, and we do not want to be wasting any in the form of a gold, since we're going to be spending majority of the game on then on to the level 7. Since we are 30 HP, I would assume we can't technically sack one more, and then we should going to be having that little bit more of a healing and then go for that cash out if we wanted to, but we have tacked out the anima right now. Just perhaps to simply ensure that we're going to be killing, as we're actually quite close. Going to be leveling to 7 now, slotting in back the 3 anima, starting our roll down there. Now, we could put ourselves in a spot where we do not exactly get the cash out if we're somehow winning, but our front line seems to be quite fragile at this moment, so should be fine. Able to find some of these more rods, and we're going to be valuing the red buff here quite a lot. Crown Guard is also we are a single unit kill off. That's fine, we just simply need to tack it in for another round, but hopefully we're able to win there. We are still 2 lives, we're getting that healing kicking in. On our last augment selection, he's going through it very fast. Electro charge is something good in many. Frontline comes in like 4 Vanguard, if you're able, especially with 5 Vanguard emblem, we play for 6 Vanguard. It's in the beefy frontlines. Healing Orb is more of a melee kind of augment. Otherwise, can be fine in these solo frontline comps where you're able to just simply heal up your frontliner through the damage you're doing. Focused fire is an AD line. That's not going to be that valuable. Climb the ladder. We're not exactly playing a vertical comp. Twin Guardians is prime in these mega boards where you're able to get buff up 2 exactly very strong frontliners. And we actually might be in a situation, I believe, that here it's going to be the best option for ourselves to be offered, simply stronger than the other options. Small grab bag. We have our items kind of sorted out. Could perhaps fish for more tank items, but he's going to value the combat as we're going to wanting to spike right away now. So I would assume that we're going to be digging quite deep for these upgrades right now, and since we have so much gold, perhaps we can even try to cheese out a 3-star right away. Got that Cab can cash out, so going to give up on him right now. It's hard to figure out. We're a single Victor off, I believe, so in my spot here, I would be potentially digging a little bit further down. Now, small grab bag actually wouldn't have been that bad since we haven't sorted out our tank items, and I don't think we positioned for the Twin Guardian, so simply taking another loss here, and now this is where the dividends are coming to pay from that single round we did not slot the anima. We would have had the 400 cash out, so we're going to be having to settling for 300 here. Do get a damage item here that we could potentially reforge, and we get another anima emblem that's also... Now we get the traits that we got cashed out, and we got an anima emblem. Not exactly what we're looking for. Able to have to heavily roll down here, hit that Victor, going to reforge, doing get another one of them. Wanted to get a Bastion emblem. That's going to have to suffice. Perhaps we can stack in another Bastion, but we find a damage item that be able to slot on this Victor. This is the one where they store the damage dealt and they just explode on death, but the thing is, if the Victor is going to be the last one alive, this explosion is going to do nothing. If you recall that I know fruit power up from set 15, I believe. For our last spot, obviously we cannot just simply take the level up. We're heavily already aligned ourselves with Aurelian Salts. He's going to value that to be a little bit stronger of a god, I would assume, than the Soraka here, but we're just going to pick up more Technician's Health here, and I would doubt that we're going to getting this 4 gold. The tier here is quite fine, that can be slotted in as something. And we actually are also quite close to this Mordekaiser as a potential 3. Now we still have not gotten our Twin Guardian value. I hope he realizes that quite soon. And we picked up a Fiora that could potentially heal us up even more, but just opting to sell it. I hope Marcel realizes that we have Twin Guardians. Oh well. This Victor 3 should be quite enough for us to win out this stage. Nonetheless, it's only a silver combat that they're playing down at the moment. Should be in the... Probably he's rolling to 10, and I would assume in this spot, in case we find another Aurora, we could just full send it. Now he realizes, there we go. And if we... Yeah, if we could potentially re-rolling here, since we are close to hitting 2 units, and definitely would be picking up a win here. Going to give up on that Rust and slot in that Bastion, they're going to value that a little bit more. Just going to be a little bit better, I believe, at this point. But reducing that Bilawi, who is our main tank, obviously, and providing the resistances to the same team nonetheless through that Bastion buff. Now, we queue into the Blitz too, but this Victor is able to do it, so I don't think this is actually the... Which item this is? We'll have to see. I guess it's the AP one. Going to be looking here for some potential frontline items. That's the department they're going to be lacking. And we could just be going to be picking up the 15 AP AD. Able to hit the Mord 3. Unfortunately, do not get to hit our 3-star. 3 stars, but we have a remover, so we're able to move our items around. Going for that Warmugs here, as another Spirit Visage would be a little bit redundant. And I can see that the interesting thing that I note here from his positioning is that he's opting to choose these both units to be hugging each other essentially. Sometimes people with Ring Guardians are going to spread out, but potentially leaves, since you have one of your tankers and itemized, that potentially leaves you up for open wraps if there are especially some melee lines that are going to be attacking that side. This way, if they kill the Alawi, well, in this case now it's going to be the Mordekaiser, they still should be able to re-aggro on you, and this Ramos here is going to walk up there, and same situation is going to happen. If they kill that Ramos, they're going to re-aggro on one of your tanks. Instead, if they were here, we could potentially sum up some kind of ways that sometimes the 50-50 gets lost and they go to your backline. Wrong side here for this fight, but since we have the hit at Lawi, she's just now also another absolute beast, one that's once at 3-star. It's going to be able to pick up a win here. So I believe this is the AP anime item. I do not exactly recall it. Able to finally find that Aurora 3 from our natural shop. So now that we should be in a safe place to be trying to push our levels, and we could just keep capping this board with any form of a conduit unit or Voyager unit on level 8, or just simply attacking a Aura 5 cost something like a Sona could be fine to just provide a little bit of a buff. Morgana is obviously going to be quite good, providing even more durability to ourselves. Or Shen, just getting that attack speed. Yeah, he's going to be going with a Shen, obviously, but the Shen should, at this point, I believe, simply replace the Ramas, or we could drop it to Darkstar. It's also an option we could be looking for. Going to be finding a... Okay, so it's going for the double mana Aurora. Obviously it's going to be fine because the blue buff is going to be synergizing together with our death cap. Simply removing that, moving that red buff to Karma is fine, as she's able to quit in multiple units. Aurora does not exactly do that, so that's just going to be a better spreader of that. And finding another tank item at this point would not have been exactly worth it unless it was a TG perhaps. Since we would be playing, and then we would potentially put ourselves in a position to be picking up another tank item here on the Dragon round, and we would be playing a little bit down in damage department with our two Trunks 3-star, and them having that combat augment. They would believe that they're quite efficient. We're scouting this particularly these melee matchups as we want our strongest tank to be in front and so to prevent any form of wraps. So we can see the Ramus here, if we were on the wrong side, walks up like that and could have still gotten to our backline. Therefore, we kind of want our Ramus to be a little closer to our main tanks, unless we are on the wrong side. But in this kind of position, we are able to just simply swap the Alawi between these two hexes, as long as we're able to read our opponents and they are not split. If they are split, we might have to move that Ramus up. Have managed to pick up our Rust again, so that's a potential something that we could be playing for. Now going for double death cap blue buff, that's going to also be quite strong and also get us a third carry, closer to a third carry, able to regain that Karma pair, and evaluating that we are 2 lives and not necessity to roll right away. Are in front of this Fiora, and hopefully this Fiora does not do a trick. The Alawi jumps back, so that definitely prevented the Fiora from any kind of way to find her way to the backline. But still, it's a ghost fight, but it was a close one still nonetheless, as that Vex was starting there to ramp up quite significantly. from them, so they're going to be a quite potential threat if they're able to fully cap their Seed and Morgana 2 coming online as well. Now, yeah, we can know that he's again scouting these possible matchups to prevent these wraps. This is the thing that you have to watch out for. All these solo frontline, the same as like a mech here, and these two melee. You can see Rast already jumping there on Aesol, but at least Aesol, it seems like he has some form of no-ground drop whenever he casts. But this mech board is not simply stats you can guess anymore. 3-star 3 costs are going to be providing a little bit more stats, and he does not have that single target damage on that board to be getting through that Illaoi from ourselves. But this Nova player is very scary. Obviously that emblem just simply having that insane amount of a true damage effect, so we have to be very sure that our tank is right in front of her. Still not going for that Karma 2, seeing if we can potentially maybe make our way to level 9, and then we could also consider playing around something like a 4 Bastion if we were able to find that Shen. And they do not seem ourselves to find in the damage, lack of damage position, but ooh, the anime item kicking in there, stacking up that damage right there, as we still gotten wrapped by the melee lines, but we prevented the major threat from that Master Yi, and now the Victor bomb just dropped through that anime item, getting the full damage right there off and killing off the rest of the team. And yeah, I just now realized we did not even have Shred on our board. Quite lucky for us to find it ourselves. That should definitely significantly increase our DPS. Again, nicely have positioned our way so that this Master, even though at 1-star with the Nova emblem is always a threat, is going to be positioned right in our front tank, but still got ganked by the Riven, and that took out our Victor, and then obviously afterwards Aurora. That's not advantageous for us, as they can split their melee carries, and we have to be quite considerate about that kind of an option. Do the last second swap, get in front of this Nova players. So there's a couple of Nova players with all these melee carries. If they have the two of them, because this was the comp with Riven, then there's not really that much we can do. Because we cannot exactly solo frontline in any form of fashion, we simply have to kind of gamble our side and hope that we do not get exactly wrapped. Have that Morgana here, and are we going to value that more than the Voyagers? I'm not sure about that. Able to find the Shen that we're going to be slotting in right away, upgrade our Karma, and he's going to value the 4 Voyager buff a little bit more. Obviously quite nice to provide some damage jumps for our team. We have those death caps, that's going to be, so it's a little redundancy in that kind of fashion, but it's still fine. Able to beef up our frontline, especially since they have that resists piling in. Shields going to give him a lot of effective HP. And now that we also have a couple of items on this Mordekaiser, it's we're definitely there. At this spot, I assume he recognized that we are playing against these melee comps, so we want the frontline to be able to sustain them, especially since they have so much effective HP in the form of these Nova emblems. So now we do get the correct side, so let's see how we fare against this player. Now, so if we were able to stop the Zerg from there, but we are able to pick up a win, but they are level 10. And did they have it on the bench somewhere there? Pick up a Shensu, so are we going to consider transitioning items to him rather than on this Karma? Not sure about that. So now they have opted to split. Now we just simply had to gamble, and we hit the wrong side, and this Mastery is quite close to our backline. Does the retarget on the front line, but they just simply have so much damage through this Nova emblem. They're level 10 getting the full cap, and we do get the second place. But very well played out game by Marcel P here. Recognizing all the ways how to make the strongest board, when to greed, definitely recognizing how expensive this comp is. You saw we took a couple of econ augments and it still took us a while to hit, even going into that stage 5, and then playing his econ management quite well to make it to level 9 in order to be able to cap out his board, and recognizing what his board is lacking against what kind of matchups. First, we wanted some damage to ensure that we are definitely going to be able to burst through these, but as we saw that there's even more melee comps that are going to be prominent in the late game fights, we no longer needed that ability to burst the comps, something like a Vex that wants us to ramp up. We instead wanted to be able to stall on our own to stop these melee comps coming at us. I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something new. I wish to see you in the next one, and have a great set launch.